Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered, what really forged New York City, the place we know today?
Mm-hmm. It's more than just the skyline, right?
Absolutely. There's this incredibly layered history underneath it all.
Mm.
Generations of, well, dreamers, schemers, survivors.
All contributing.
And today, we're diving deep into a fantastic source for that, Edward Rutherfurd's novel, New York.
Which is just epic in scope.
It really is. It's not just a story. It's like this saga following fictional families, but through centuries of real history. Gives you such an intimate feel for the city's soul.
Right. And our mission here is to pull out those key insights, the surprising facts, the big ideas that make New York, well, New York.
Exactly.
And what's so compelling, I think, about Rutherford's way of doing it is using those personal stories.
The family narratives.
Yeah, to light up the bigger historical picture. Well, look at how all these different groups, indigenous people, Dutch settlers, English traders, enslaved Africans, waves of immigrants, how they all built the city.
Often through a lot of ambition and conflict, too.
Oh, absolutely. And just sheer resilience, which kind of raises the big question for us today.
What does looking at New York's long past tell us about its character now?
Its
enduring spirit.
Precisely.
So to really get that, we have to start right at the beginning, the Dutch arrival.
Mm-hmm. And Rutherford introduces us to Dirk van Dyke.
He's a great character to start with. Really feels like he has a foot in two worlds.
He does. There's his relationship with Pale Feather, an indigenous woman from the Turtle Clan.
And then his Dutch wife, Margaretha.
Right. And Margaretha van Dyke de Groot was her maiden name. She's fascinating, too. A really strong woman for her time.
How so?
Well, she controlled her own inheritance, had a prenuptial agreement, which was pretty forward-thinking,
Okay.
smoked a pipe, like many Dutch women did then, apparently, and fiercely loyal to Governor Stuyvesant and the Dutch Reformed Church.
But there was a darker side.
Definitely. Harsh prejudices against indigenous women, which is interesting because, Dutch society back then was actually quite tolerant of premarital lovers for Dutch women.
So real contradiction there. Shows those early colonial attitudes, the complexities.
Exactly. It wasn't simple.
Now, Dirk van Dyke, his fortune came from trade, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the Mohawks.
Yes. And not always ethically. Selling them watered-down brandy for valuable pelts.
He had that quote, didn't he? Kingdoms may rise and fall, but trade goes on forever.
That's the one. A very pragmatic, almost cold view. But you see how that mindset became embedded in the city's DNA.
Yeah, this relentless focus on commerce, on the deal, even as it, decimated the beaver population down by the Hudson.
Right, and that pragmatism or maybe exploitation extends to how trade itself worked. The Dutch adopted wampum.
The shell beads.
Yeah, shells with huge cultural meaning for indigenous groups. White for peace, black for war, used in treaties, ceremonies.
But the Dutch used it like money for furs.
They did. And then the English Puritans arrived and took it a step further.
What did they do?
They started manufacturing wampum, mass-producing it at steel drills.
Oh, wow. So like counterfeiting, basically.
From the indigenous perspective, absolutely. It caused massive inflation, devalued the real thing. Just outright cheating, really. An early example of economic warfare, almost.
And this economic drive, this competition, it fueled the change from Dutch to English rule, too.
Big time.
Yeah.
England wanted in on the profitable Dutch slave trade, and they wanted that amazing port, New Amsterdam.
So they took it.
They did. And the reaction of the merchants, including our friend Dirk van Dyke, mostly pragmatic.
They didn't care who ruled.
Not really, no. As long as trade continued smoothly. You have that famous story of Governor Stuyvesant defiantly tearing up the English surrender demand.
And the merchants painstakingly pieced it back together.
Exactly. Business first. That tells you so much about early New York.
It really does.
And we need to talk about the vision for Manhattan as a slave market. That was intentional right from the start.
Both Stuyvesant and later the Duke of York saw it that way.
Yes. They brought enslaved people directly from Africa. Their children were often sold off or trained for specific labor. It was brutal.
A horrific part of the foundation.
Absolutely. But even in that system, you find these incredible stories of resilience. Like Quash.
Right, Quash. He started enslaved, but he was incredibly resourceful.
He was. He found this unique way to help Governor Hyde.
The governor who had a secret habit of cross-dressing.
That's the one. Quash proposed setting up a discreet business, supplying ladies' goods and dresses at cost for Hyde.
Clever. So Hyde could maintain his secret affordably.
And Quash gained leverage, eventually securing his freedom through this very unusual arrangement. It shows the kind of ingenuity people use to navigate an oppressive system.
And he wasn't alone in finding paths to freedom.
No, definitely not. The book shows the emergence of free black communities, too. People like Cujo owning land, owning property up the Bowery Road.
Living free, like any white man at the time.
Exactly. It shows that even then, avenues for freedom and success existed, though they were incredibly hard-won.
Okay, so moving forward a bit into the 18th century, the city's really becoming more of a melting pot, right? But also, tensions are rising.
Definitely. You get this influx of different ideas, New England Puritans, like the character Eliot Master.
He was against slavery, wasn't he?
Personally, yes, but very rigid in his morals, sometimes clashing with the city's more, let's say, freewheeling commercial spirit.
And this is the era of a really key moment for freedom of the press, the Zenger trial.
Ah, yes, 1735, hugely important. You had this brilliant Philadelphia lawyer, Andrew Hamilton.
Not that Hamilton.
No, different Hamilton. He used this tactic, jury nullification.
What's that exactly?
Basically arguing that the jury has the right to judge the law itself, not just the facts. They can acquit someone even if they technically broke the law if the law seems unjust.
Wow, so they could choose justice over the strict letter of the law.
Precisely. A massive check on potential tyranny. And it happened in a city where people like John Master were already suspicious of official stories.
Right. He compared the 1741 Negro conspiracy scare.
Which relied heavily on confessions under torture.
He compared that to the Salem witch trials. He saw the pattern.
He did. That underlying skepticism, that willingness to question authority, it really fed into the revolutionary feelings that were starting to bubble up.
Which brings us to things like the Stamp Act, 1765.
Oh, that caused uproar. Merchants, lawyers, printers, they were furious. Rutherfurd mentions Mayor Kruger joking about letting British troops freeze.
Shows a level of resentment.
Absolutely. And you see the rise of groups like the Sons of Liberty, led by guys like Sears and McDougal, former privateers.
Using both reason and, well, force, sometimes.
Definitely force. They weren't shy about direct action. They even disrupted a play.
Why a play?
Their logic was people shouldn't be off enjoying themselves while the rest of the city was suffering under British policies. It shows how tangled up class, money, and liberty were.
That really drives home how personal these political issues felt and how divided people were. The book shows that within families. Right?
Oh, profoundly. The Master family is a great example. John Master stays loyal to the crown.
While his son, James, becomes a patriot, serves with Washington.
Exactly. It mirrors famous real-life splits like Benjamin Franklin and his loyalist son, William. This wasn't abstract. It tore families apart. Real personal tragedies.
And the war itself, Rutherfurd doesn't shy away from the harsh realities.
Not at all. Washington's fury at how the British treated American prisoners.
Dying on those prison ships in horrific conditions.
Yeah, John Master discovers just how bad it was under General Howe, but then you see Washington insisting on humane treatment for captured Hessian soldiers.
Showing a moral compass even in wartime.
Right, and then there are these unexpected figures like Baron von Steuben.
The Prussian officer. Bit eccentric.
Very eccentric, but he whipped the ragged Continental Army into shape at Valley Forge, taught them how to drill, and apparently how to swear effectively in 3 languages.
Huh. You need that in an army.
You do, but beyond drilling, the huge turning point was the French joining the war.
That changed everything on the water.
Completely. Admiral d'Estaing's fleet shows up, blocks New York Harbor. Suddenly the British don't rule the waves anymore. Huge strategic shift.
And amidst all this, you have the drama of Benedict Arnold's treason.
Despicable, yes, but it also shows the British General Clinton's ruthless pragmatism. He basically said he'd have paid the devil himself to get West Point.
Just focus on the objective.
Utterly. And you also see complexity in characters like Susan Master, who pragmatically trades with both sides.
Survival first.
For some, yeah. Economic survival trumped strict political loyalty. It was a messy, complicated time.
Okay, so after the revolution, the war's over. New York starts to boom.
Right, explodes is more like it. And a huge driver was the Erie Canal, finished in 1825.
Absolute game changer for the Master family in the book, but for the whole city, too.
Totally. It linked New York City directly to the resources of the Great Lakes in the West, cemented its position as the country's economic engine.
And the city's ambition wasn't just canals, it was infrastructure, like the Croton Aqueduct.
An incredible feat of engineering for the time. Finally solved the city's chronic water shortage, bringing fresh water 40 miles down.
40 miles?
Yeah. And these massive projects drew workers. A lot of Irish immigrants fleeing the famine found work here.
But often in really tough conditions, places like Five Points.
Notorious slums. And the tensions sometimes boiled over into violence, like the Astor Place riot in 1849.
That was about actors?
Started over rival actors, yeah, but it tapped into deep class resentments between immigrants and nativists. The militia fired on the crowd, killed over 20 people, shows the raw, sometimes brutal side of that rapid growth.
And then we hit the mid-19th century. The Civil War is looming, intensifying everything.
Absolutely. Rutherfurd shows this through Frank Master and his wife, Hetty.
She becomes an abolitionist.
Yes, after reading Uncle Tom's Cabin, which causes a major rift in their marriage.
Because Frank saw it differently.
He saw it through a businessman's eyes, pragmatic again, pointing out that England's vital cotton mills still depended entirely on slave-produced cotton.
So morality versus economic reality. A conflict playing out within one family.
Exactly, a microcosm of the whole country and certainly of New York.
And that tension erupts violently with the draft riots in 1863.
A truly horrifying event. Working-class Irishmen, furious about the draft and terrified of job competition from freed black people.
They took it out on black New Yorkers. Burning buildings, attacks, even lynchings.
Just brutal. And the terrible irony Rutherfurd highlights, the police commissioner actually stopped free black volunteers from drilling, supposedly for their own safety. The governor refused black regiments.
So the very people being attacked weren't allowed to defend themselves or fight for the Union cause from New York.
It's a stark picture of racism and class conflict, but then you get these strange twists.
Like Sean O'Donnell.
Yeah, an Irishman who later becomes a big shot in Tammany Hall, the corrupt political machine.
He ends up saving Hetty Master, the abolitionist wife of the wealthy businessman, from a mob during the riots.
It shows how unpredictable things were. Strange alliances, complex motives. History isn't neat.
Definitely not. And this era, during and after the Civil War, is when Wall Street really becomes Wall Street.
Oh, yeah. It comes into its own. You get these legendary, almost mythical financiers, Jay Gould.
Who tried to corner the gold market and nearly pulled it off, even using President Grant.
Incredible audacity. And then the figure who looms largest, J.P. Morgan.
Described as a cross between a Roman emperor and a prize fighter.
Perfect description. He wasn't just making money, he was stabilizing the entire financial system during crises, almost single-handedly at times.
Acting like a central bank before there really was one.
Exactly. And then later becomes this huge philanthropist, donating art to the Met. Embodies that New York tycoon archetype, ruthless ambition paired with civic patronage.
While Morgan and Gould are building empires, you have the old money crowd trying to keep the gates closed, right?
Oh, absolutely. Mrs. Astor, Ward McAllister, defining who's in society. The famous 400. They often said it took 3 generations for new money to be acceptable.
But the new money didn't always play by their rules, like Charles Schwab.
Schwab just ignored them. Builds this enormous, opulent chateau way up on Riverside Drive, overlooking the Hudson. 75 rooms, completely outside the Fifth Avenue establishment.
Making his own statement.
Proving that vision and, frankly, massive wealth could rewrite the social rules. Another classic New York story.
And while the millionaires are building mansions, you have waves of immigrants carving out lives. Rutherfurd focuses on the Carusos, Italians in Little Italy.
A great multi-generational story within the story. You have Salvatore, the steelworker, literally building the skyline, working on the Empire State Building.
An incredible symbol of ambition itself.
Totally. Then his brother, Paolo, takes a different route, gets involved with gangsters, the speakeasy culture during Prohibition.
And their sister Anna.
Works in the garment factories, which brings in the harsh realities of industrial labor and tragedies like the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire.
1911. That fire killed 146 workers, mostly young immigrant women, trapped inside. Horrific.
And it became a catalyst. It fueled the labor movement, the push for reforms led by people like the socialist Morris Hillquit. The Carusos capture that whole immigrant experience, the dreams, the danger, the fight for a better life.
And even for the established families, fortunes could turn. William Master, the investment banker.
Yeah, loses everything in the 1929 crash. Rutherfurd includes this incredibly poignant scene where he's by the Hudson River contemplating ending it all.
Shows the fragility, even at the top.
Absolutely. And at the same time, Salvatore Caruso, the guy building the Empire State Building, feels overshadowed by his artistic brother, Angelo, who finds success and marries the woman Salvatore loved. Personal dreams get crushed even amidst monumental progress.
The constant mix of triumph and tragedy.
That seems to be New York's story.
Okay, let's jump ahead, mid-20th century. Enter Robert Moses.
Ah, Moses. A figure who literally reshaped the physical city. Highways, bridges, massive housing projects.
Streamlining things, modernizing.
Yes, but at a huge cost. He swept away entire neighborhoods, displaced communities, often with little consultation. His legacy is still debated fiercely today.
Progress versus people, in a way.
A constant tension in New York's development. And this era also saw huge social shifts happening.
Like in the Master family again? Charlie Master.
Right. He's from the old Episcopalian elite, old money, and he falls in love with Sarah Adler.
Who's from a very different background. Conservative Jewish family in Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Exactly. And their relationship exposes the subtle and sometimes not so subtle prejudices that still existed even within families.
Even though Charlie himself was progressive on the surface, civil rights marches, opposing Vietnam.
Yeah. It shows how deep those biases could run, even when people were consciously fighting against broader injustices. Personal and political didn't always align smoothly.
In that struggle for opportunity, Rutherfurd shows it through Juan Campos.
A powerful storyline. Juan's black Puerto Rican from El Barrio Spanish Harlem faces discrimination everywhere.
Even in schools like Stuyvesant High.
Yeah, the book touches on biases and admissions there, and in housing projects. Systemic stuff. But his mother has this fierce ambition for him.
Wants him to help his people.
Exactly. So he pushes through, gets educated at City College, and later, with encouragement from his friend Gorham Master.
Charlie's son.
Yes. Juan sets his sights high aims to become mayor, maybe even president of New York, of course. A testament to that drive against the odds.
It's fascinating how objects carry history, too. That wampum belt we talked about way back with the Dutch.
It keeps reappearing through the Master family generations.
Starts as a lucky charm, then becomes this symbol of destiny for Gorham Master.
A talisman, yeah. And then, near the end of his life, his father, Charlie, who's ill, gives it to Sarah, Gorham's mother.
But calls it a nice piece of abstract art.
Which is just amazing, right? Shows how meaning transforms. This ancient indigenous artifact becomes a symbol bridging cultures, connecting generations, seen through different lenses over time. It really encapsulates the city's layered past.
Layers upon layers. Which brings us tragically to the 21st century and 9/11.
A day that tested the city's resilience like nothing before. Rutherfurd writes it through Gorham Master's experience.
He sees the second plane hit. His wife, Maggie, is a lawyer in the South Tower.
And he's desperately trying to reach her. Her last words on the phone just cut off. "It's okay, Gorham. I'm down," and
Gut-wrenching. The personal cost of that day was immense.
unimaginable. And for Gorham, that experience is life-changing. He leaves his banking job, joins Juan Campos's venture, seeking something different, something with more purpose, maybe.
And the city itself, how does it respond?
For Gorham, that empty space in the sky where the tower stood is this constant, aching reminder of Maggie.
A phantom limb.
Exactly. But the decision eventually to rebuild, to put up the Freedom Tower, One World Trade Center.
That sends a message.
It embodies that core New York spirit Rutherfurd captures throughout the centuries. No matter how hard things were, New Yorkers never gave up.
That determination to rebuild, to look forward, it feels like the defining thread.
It really does. It connects everything from the Dutch merchants to the 9/11 recovery.
So when you pull it all together, what's the big takeaway for you listening to this saga?
I mean, from the Dutch trading post politics to the heartbreak of 9/11, it's this constant churn of ambition, adaptation, resilience.
Yeah. And seeing how individual lives, Dirk Van Dyke, Quash, Hitty Master, the Carusos, Gorham, how their choices, their struggles, their dreams all feed into the city's larger story.
It's not just dates and big events, is it? It's millions of personal stories. And Rutherfurd's novel reminds us of that powerfully. It shows how this city, built by so many different people with often clashing interests.
She's reinventing itself.
Exactly. It absorbs every shock, every change, and somehow comes out, well, maybe not unscathed, but stronger, different, still recognizably New York. Its real character is that capacity for transformation.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What's the next chapter going to be for this city?
What unexpected turns are coming.
And what new stories of ambition and resilience are waiting to be written in the city that, truly never sleeps.